What's up, guys? Good morning. How you guys doing? We got the chat. We got Jeet, Matthew, Brett, Forget About It, Oscar, Explode, Wagner. How you guys doing? Moo Juice. What's up, man? All right. So we can go over yesterday's price action, what we were waiting for. With Bitcoin, it was a little awkward trying to trade into Bitcoin, but because basically we had all the confluences that we wanted to have met was right here. We were talking about that yesterday during our live. But we wanted to have like a pullback first before breaking so we can get like a decent change of character a little bit lower and not right in the face of the VWAP. But that's what we ended up getting. So we got the change of character occurrence. We broke past the VWAP after a couple of tests there. And then we've been on the run ever since. Because after we broke this high, we basically confirmed this valley area here as a form of support to start targeting the potential all-time high here. So now we're starting to get a bit of a squeeze up here. You can see our apex point is pretty much the all-time high. So I'm not sure if we'll make it up there within this structure, because normally when you start seeing like lower and lower volume as we start coming up like this, it's telling us in the background that the confidence of the buyers are starting to dwindle. So there's less and less buyers volume, and eventually we're going to reach an apex point where usually in a structural bias like this, we break to the downside. Because if you look at it in a liquidity standpoint, we're adding more and more liquidity, but we're taking more and more from the upside. So things are looking like actively bullish, but they're preparing to be bearish. Well, that's Bitcoin. That's basically what I'll be preparing for. Is mostly, hopefully, come up here and grab liquidity, and then prepare for the front run for the short of this break at the top side of the structure. DP, good morning, Kyle. Give AVAX a look if you don't mind. Yeah, AVAX has some exciting news that are coming out, so I'll check that out. Our volume sucks, plus we have liquidity right below us, so break to the downside seems logical. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Just on this, based on the structure, it looks like we're more likely to come to the downside. We pull up the liquidity heat maps. I've got no tabs today, so my computer is running very well. So, okay. Yeah, the 24 hour is pretty bearish. We got most of the way liquidity below us. Starts at 105,800. 105,800. Okay. So, yeah, we got a decent amount of liquidity that starts right here. Well, we could delete this line here. We don't need this anymore. That's our key level that we were watching for the long. If anyone's still in the Solana long that we signaled yesterday, well, let me just pull up that chart. Solana. Here it is. I got stopped out because I was being too greedy. So we're looking here. We have the confluence with Solana and Bitcoin's posture saying that like Bitcoin breaks, then Solana's likely going to continue up because it broke before Bitcoin did with Bitcoin's key level, which was relative to Solana's positioning. Bitcoin was roughly around here when we confirmed that we're likely to keep going up. But yeah, we just hit our target last night, and now we are having an opposing change of character. So if you didn't get out at the target, then you've gotten a couple warning signs already to telling you to get out for your long. So here, the one warning signs: we lost momentum, we used it as resistance, we used the VWAP as resistance in confluence with that. We got our change of character occurrence. So, or sorry, right here, change of character occurrence. So we got 4 warning signs telling you got to get out. So just be careful with your Solana trade if you're still holding it. But yeah, Bitcoin bias today is short. I don't have my red shirt on today, but GP, let's look at AVAX for you. For Bitcoin, just to go another quick review over it, what we'll be waiting for is hopefully a pump to the upside first. Liquidity grab, reversal structure, front run the break of this momentum. But we don't have to do that. That's just our big hopium for like kind of like a dream setup for a falling wedge or rising wedge, sorry. Yeah, if we could end up breaking this with a break of structure here for a continuation down instead. Target that liquidity. Once we tap that liquidity, you got to be cautious that we could reverse off of it. But this is going to kind of help drive the price to come down eventually. Let's go to AVAX for GP there. Last time we looked at AVAX was May 12th. Okay. Let's see. I'm zooming out here because I saw this vertical trend lines that are usually what I use to help guide me with targets. So we have this massive inverse head and shoulder structure, and if we maintain the pace of the momentum of this structure, our measurable base target is right here. And that was like right where this previous value area low is. A huge core area of interest. But this is a huge bear concern as well. That's where a large amount of liquidity is going to end before we get up here. But yeah, it looks like we got a huge pullback. Retesting these levels again. Let's go up and delete some of this noise. All right, just marked our previous value low. Marked previous value high. All right, let's zoom in here. We drew this in the 4-hour structure. But yeah, it looks like AVAX is building a falling wedge structure. We've got a here we got acceptance into this value area here, this previous value area that we were looking at from the past. just to see if it's been manipulating the current price action. We kind of we do see a lot of respect off these key levels, but the main key level we have to watch for AVAX to help confirm this move to its measurable base target, which is the top of the structure right here. But we have lots of reasoning to kind of just slow down right here. So we'll mark this as a level of interest. So we'll mark this as local resistance, just merely because of the fact that there's liquidity that's stacked here, and this could be used as exit liquidity to drive the price back down. We could get continuations off of it, but you gotta first assume that this could be an area of concern to create a reversal. But yeah, right now this is our key area of interest on the hourly, that we need to have this level broken to help validate the move to $26 again. But we have kind of an internal battle going on that might prevent us from breaking this. Momentum-wise, we broke the downtrending momentum that's been holding the price action down for AVAX for a while now. We confirmed it as support, but what I'm worried about is the structural, the posture looks bearish. So we're building like a bear flag structure. We're channeling, and we're building slightly, potentially a head and shoulders behavior, like right here. That could define a push right back down to this uptrending point of interest. So I'd mark this as your uptrending momentum right now. If we break the hourly, we'll likely get a evolving momentum push. So yeah, basically we need to break this high to confirm the falling wedge. We could break this low to confirm a head and shoulders instead. That break of structure continuation could bring us to this uptrending point of interest here, where you're gonna have to watch for a potential reversal. Otherwise, if this doesn't get respected, you could see continuation down to 21.71. But yeah, that's AVAX. It's looking good. The other black hole coming out soon. That sounds pretty cool. We can look into that soon. I haven't done full research on it yet, but it seems like it could be a good conduit to push AVAX up. All right, so Anonymous, what's up, man? All-time high today for Bitcoin. Maybe. It's a big fat maybe. We're getting squeezed along our way up. Now, these things don't normally break to the downside, but I've seen it like quite a bit of times, then break to the upside, and then they give us like violent pumps to the upside. The alignment with the apex and the rising wedge suggests that we might grab that high and then come right back down. So right now we're stacking more and more liquidity to the downside. So my bias is prepare for short, not prepare for long. Especially since, you know, almost 100% of holders are in a profit right now. Go to chain exposed. Supply and profit. Let's make this smaller for you guys. Yeah, right now supply and profit is 99.15% of holders are in a profit right now. So when we get to that all-time high, you'll be surprised how much it could just like explode to higher levels, but you got to prepare for the worst case scenario, not the best case scenario, when we're have that many people on a profit. Internally right now we're building an ascending double bottom off of the rising support level. We're about to confirm a potential inverse head and shoulders. It's awkward to trade internally inside of a rising wedge. Our measurable base target for the momentum is here. We're getting our break of structure now. Let's see, there we go. Just gonna look at the order books really quick, because I don't really trust this move. All right, large amount of support on the buy side compared to the sell side. We got about 600 Bitcoin waiting to be bought at 106,300. 106,300. So lots of buyers waiting right here. Pretty much right where this order block is, right here. So we're kind of getting a validation of the order block here. And so if we came down, we'd likely see a bounce here. All right, what do you guys want to look at? We got Wagner asking to take a look at Ethereum and Solana. We did take a look at Solana. We overviewed our trade that we did in the community. So if anyone who's not a part of the community is wondering what the signals look like, this is what how we map it out. We give like an entry condition, what we're waiting for, and then a target, our stop loss, screenshot what we're kind of looking at. But yeah, a lot of people are still in on this, but I'm one of the ones that aren't. I was too aggressive with my stop loss. What I end up doing is after we got the break of structure, right here for the higher high, I ended up moving my stop loss right here, and then I got stopped out. But anyone who kept with the original stop loss had their target hit. I felt hunted. It was rude, but we kept to our 15-minute strong low. Or yeah, we'll guess we didn't here. We got like the posting change of character and then started coming up. But yeah, Solana right now is building an inverse head and shoulder similar to Bitcoin, but it's in like an awkward spot as well. Bitcoin's doing it against its rising wedge support level. We know that there's a lot of buyers right now following the trend line of the rising wedge's support level, right? The 600 Bitcoin waiting at 106,300. So this level is still technically viable as the uptrending support. And you'll notice that buy wall is likely going to follow this trend line. Okay, and Ethereum was the other request. Let's take a peek at Ethereum. Here we go. Ethereum, we were looking at similar to Bitcoin at the time. This was the key level, but like after we got this lower low, this became it here. Because you should have been waiting for the change of character occurrence, which was right here. So this break wouldn't have, because the momentum is just a warning sign. You don't want to take action just based off of it. So we didn't get the change of character occurrence. We never got the lower low here until we got this pullback. This would have became the core area of interest for a new long right here. And you would have targeted these highs at least, or this previous value area high. And then we end up coming up, hitting the local liquidity here, and then we end up coming up hitting that previous value area high over here. But for our new position on Ethereum, I'd be waiting. Yeah, I'll be waiting for basically for us to come back down to these lows potentially for a long again, or see what kind of bias we have for Bitcoin, right? At the time when Bitcoin's roughly around here, we can find out what Ethereum's positioning is. Maybe it's at its previous value area high again, right? And then by the time Bitcoin confirms a short, you can look for the structural confluence on Ethereum too up here. I'm going to actually pull this into here. Don't need this. We don't need that anymore. We don't need this. Congrats if anyone took this long. Let's move this over here. There we go. Cool. All right, so we updated our fixed range volume profile poll on Ethereum. We've got, this is our uptrending momentum within the structure. So yeah, basically, like I said before, wait for Bitcoin's positioning roughly around the top of its rising wedge. See where Ethereum is at during that time, likely at its value area high, and prepare for a change of character occurrence around this zone, a loss of this momentum, and then we can start targeting these lows as Bitcoin starts targeting its lows around, like I'll be targeting at least 104K when we confirm a short roughly around here. But yeah, that is Ethereum, man. I hope that helps you out. I like Ethereum's positioning when preparing for a short compared to Bitcoin's, because Bitcoin's going to be like near its all-time high. Ethereum always seems to have some relative weakness lately. So I think, in my opinion, Ethereum's going to be more beginner friendly if you're looking for a short position. Like Bitcoin's probably going to have an incredible short opportunity up here. But Ethereum's going to be a little bit more beginner friendly. What we have in the chat. David, what's up, man? Hashtag Kyle knows. That's funny. Love Kyle CA. Thanks, man. All right, so we've gone through everyone's requests already. Is there anything else you guys want to look over while we're waiting on Bitcoin to do its thing? Like Bitcoin just broke, gave us that break of structure on this inverse head and shoulders posture on the 5 minute. We close with a momentum based candle right here, meaning there's no wick on the lower and upper side. Momentum candles usually come in threes before you start seeing any reversal. And then if you see those threes, they're called 3 white knights. Can you look at Chill Guy? Yeah, we can look at Chill Guy. Been looking at that a lot lately. And Chill Guy's not being very chill, is it? Oh, this is perpetuals. Let's go back. Okay, yeah, there we go. I was like, I knew we drew something. All right, so we were looking at the potential squeeze. So I guess we were looking at, was it yesterday? Yeah, we had this uptrending momentum against the downtrending momentum here, signaling that we could fall back down. And if we did, we could prepare for this level to break. And if it did, then we confirm a large head and shoulders with a really pretty rough measurable target of way down here on 4.1 cents. But that luckily never confirmed. Yet we instead built a double bottom posture of this previous demand zone right here. We held it as support. It looked like it was beginning to fractalize for a larger head and like a smaller head and shoulders into like a larger one to help induce the move. But instead, we never got that confirmation. Why do you gotta wait for confirmations? Don't just trust the picture that's being painted, right? You gotta wait for it to be confirmed. Yeah, instead we got that double bottom break here. Confirmed this more larger double bottom here. Broke momentum simultaneously to that to get the view up on our back. Lots of reasons for a long here. And you'd be targeting like this local high with this double bottom structure while being fearful of this local high here. We only struggled a little bit here using that liquidity, likely as exit liquidity. Some people probably exit around here. But now we are potentially, I think, setting up for a reversal. We're trying to hold off of this previous neckline. I'm on the hourly time frame, so we might get an SFP up here. This wick grabbed liquidity from here, but not from this high. So we're adding liquidity right now. So we'll see what happens. We have 25 minutes left on that candle for confirming an hourly SFP. Let's go on the 15-minute. One little tip you guys can do to help with your noise on your screen. You can either write text telling you what this is, right? Because it's cutting through this time frame. So you can write that this is an hourly body resistance, right? Or you can just change your ability to see it so it's only in sync with the time frame you want to see it within. So if you don't want to see it in the lower time frames, you just remove it here and just leave it on here. So now I could switch between the 15-minute and the hourly, and then it'll show me the trend line on the hourly and not on the 15-minute. It does help a little bit with noise. And then you can just watch your 15-minute levels instead. So on the 15-minute, we know we can't get the SFP. We invalidated that ability. We actually could come up, grab this liquidity here and do like a more local SFP. But yeah, a key level that you want to watch is right here. You don't want this to break if you want to stay in for continuation, because this would induce a change of character occurrence and could drive the price down. And based on the momentum, it could be a pretty aggressive drop down to like 0.08, which is roughly where all the liquidity is from this regression trend right here. If you visualize the order flow, there's likely a decent amount of liquidity here. So that's chill, guy, man. It looks like it's preparing for more of a reversal than anything, but if we keep getting body closes above this local high here, then we can see a continuation up to this valley area here. Now, I'd recommend marking about the fixed range volume profile from the start of that range to the end of the range, so you can watch potential key areas of resistance along the way up. And that way you can also know when you could potentially see it get acceptance into this valley area. Because if you get that break of structure within this valley area, then the probability of us reaching the opposite side of the valley area dramatically increases. So you can look for that for continuations up, or you can look for this level for a reversal. I hope that helps you out, man. Let's get this all marked, and then let's go back to the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin pulling back onto the support. You know, we got quite a bit of buyers waiting right here based on the order books. They're guarding that trend line right here. I didn't trust this one, so I didn't touch it. Thanks, Kyle. Really help you. Oh, sweet. Right on, man. Cardano. Okay, we can look at Cardano. It's been a while since we looked at Cardano. Let's see, ADA, May 8th. Yeah, so it looks like the last time we were looking at, we were preparing for a bullish SFP right here. Looks like we got it. I didn't get it, but it looks like we got it. We've started going on a massive uptrend ever since. So if anyone caught that and still in that, congrats, because that's just stupid. That's just crazy. All right, we can get rid of that. I drew, yeah, I was marking this as a key area of interest because of the volume spike here. Let's worry about that acting as a potential barrier along the way. Instead, it acted as support in the future. But we'll delete that. We've got, delete this too. Get rid of some of this noise. Okay, I did that wrong. Sorry, I'm just trying to, it's being a pain in the butt. I was trying to mark these, the point of control on the value area high here. So we can see how we behaved off it over here. And we got Cardano began a descending channel after we had like this head and shoulders posture here. Yeah, we built a little bit of a descending channel. It's broadening a little bit, but yeah, we got, get this marked. Internal momentum. Okay. We got the, did we sweep the higher high? We did. We just barely grabbed that higher high right here. So this is technically an SFP. We swept that liquidity, closed back inside the range. Unfortunately, the measurable base target is pretty lame. It would just bring us to here. But whenever you have an SFP, think of it like your strong low is under attack. So like anything you guys know about market structure, and you're usually like thinking of your strong low as an area of interest to protect your capital. Whenever there's an SFP like this, you got to immediately think that your stop loss, if you moved it at that strong low, could be under attack. So just be aware of that whenever you're progressing your stop loss to trail the price action. So if we get that break here, we'll get a change of character occurrence. We'll lose momentum off of the downtrending points of interest, and that could drive the price down as well to the previous value area high again, around 72.29. This is a good key area of interest though to prepare for potential like actual break and reversal out of this structure. Right, there's a relatively strong area of demand, so if we come down there, we could still end up breaking to the upside here. So I would be preparing for longs again if we come back down here. If we doing the short off of this would be really awkward. We need to have like a better entry, but these structures are typically biased for longs because we're sweeping liquidity from the downside but stacking it to the upside. So if you're a market maker, you prefer to try to get the exit liquidity up here. So that's Cardano. I hope that helps you out. We're looking at the hourly. If you look at the 15 minutes, a little bit more clear. That 15-minute candle SFP here is a lot safer than the one that we saw on the hourly. Could have entered here, stop loss guard here. You'd still be in the short, but you'd be targeting here. Hoping for this break so you can stay in for the continuation. Well, yeah, that's Cardano. Bitcoin's getting a bit of a tweezer reaction on the 15 right now. Only got 18 seconds left on that candle, so we kind of want to have a wick above the 50% level of this candle here, or else it shows us a sign of losing momentum. What are perfect entries for Bitcoin? Define perfect. Like a perfect entry to me is a change of character occurrence at a value area low. Perfect entry for everyone else might be something like catching an SFP or getting at the on-chain low. The on-chain low is insane. If you get like the bear market lows, like for example, we jumped in at like 16.9K when all the on-chain metrics are met. But those kind of entries only happen like once every few years. We got a request to look at Peanut. I don't know if I've ever looked at Peanut. Peanut the squirrel. Okay. That stuff gets weirder, man. Let's see. Let's go to the daily first. Okay, so just like most low market cap altcoins, we're just getting above the 50 EMA. This asset's really young, so it doesn't have a 200 EMA just yet. So that tells us it's less than 200 days old. Yeah, 187 days. So it's got about 15 days left before it gets its 200-day EMA. We broke the downtrending momentum here that helped define this move to the upside. You'll be watching these highs here as your core area of interest. We are using it now as support instead of resistance, which is a good sign. We've got a previous fixed range here that we should be watching alongside that daily order block. I don't know if that order block is likely going to be valid after all this time. These order blocks are usually a warning sign of residual orders, and I don't think there'll be any residual orders for over it still being there from 124 days ago, but you'll be surprised. Like sometimes those orders stay. You can always look at the order books to validate that if you see a limit sell wall. But I'll be watching 59.33 as a core area of interest for potential resistance. We got the order block confluence. The people who use order blocks as part of their rules will react to that. We get the value area low, and we have that impulse move here that could define residual orders. And we zoom in on the lower time frames. Let's mark this level really quick first. And now let's zoom in. We're on the hourly. So it kind of gave us the same kind of positioning as Bitcoin yesterday, right? We had that downtrending squeeze down towards a core area of interest. For Bitcoin, that was a previous value area high. For Peanut, this is the top of the resistance zone of the structural target for this macro descending channel. And we're getting uptrending support here. We've got a tweezer reaction. They're going to cut right through right here. We got downtrending resistance here. And we're pretty much at the apex point for the structure. It's giving me like Wyckoff accumulation vibes here. So I'm thinking that it's more likely to break to the upside. We have more stack liquidity. We've got quite a bit of stack liquidity here. Not to say that there's more, because we've got lots of reasoning to come down as well. But see the body's marked here. So on the hourly, I would like to see us break this key level at 34.32. Hold it as support. It's like a break of structure continuation. We start targeting, I think, these local highs here at 39.67. But watch out above this area here. This is going to be a high SFP zone, so you can prepare for potential consolidation for an SFP reversal. And there's a large amount of liquidity here that could be used as exit liquidity. Below that is Peanut. Not much more to it than that. Let's go back to Bitcoin, see what it's doing. It's getting squeezed down. We have that buy wall that we know about at 106,300 right here, alongside the trend line, alongside this order block. But yeah, we know that there's buyer orders waiting for us there. We're about 600 Bitcoin. Let's mark that really quick. So here. Up or down, says Brian. Man. It hasn't really chose. Structurally, it looks like it wants to go up short term. But liquidity bias is pretty bearish. So what I'm hoping for, what we spoke about when this first started, is a liquidity grab up here, change of character currents for a front run to the break of this momentum, so we can start targeting this previous value area high again at 104.4. That's what I'm wanting to happen. We don't get what we want all the time in this market, but if there's a picture perfect scenario, that's what I would wait for. And really frustrate the people that want a higher high. Just like undercut it here and come down. But 90, what was the percentage again, guys? It was 90. Yeah, 99.15% of people are in a profit right now. It's more than that actually, because this is based on the price of 105K. So we're getting like, we're like a micro percentage away from 100% of people being in a profit. So let's see if the buyers can outpace the potential sellers of the entire supply. What is written on your hat? It says Plan B, but it represents Bitcoin, so I can see how it could represent something else. But it was a gift from Sia, one of our members of the community. I've been wearing it ever since because like I go outside wearing this hat, and then the 1 or 3 people maybe in my city that actually knows what crypto is will talk to me about crypto. And yeah, it's actually brought in some members, this hat. It's pretty cool. Can we look at Sonic? Yeah, we can look at Sonic. I can't look at FTM anymore, right? Last time we looked at Sonic was February 25th. A while back. What were we waiting for? You can always look at my orange lines to see what we were looking for. We were looking for shorts. So we had since the creation of the new chart for Phantom, which is one of the things I really, really hate about rebranding in the crypto space. It's because since they have to redeploy their contracts in order to create a new ticker. You can't just yeah, it's nuts. Whenever you're creating a new ticker or rebranding, you can't just change it. You have to redeploy everything. But yeah, we're looking at shorts. We had this double top that we were watching. Oops, my bad. We were at this double top that we're watching here. It looks like we were concerned about a potential reversal warning here. Kind of had that inverse head and shoulders vibe. But that looks like it played out really well. We are range bound, kind of stuck in here. There we go. Hovering below the POC. Let's mark our value area levels. We got our value area high here at 56.15. I keep doing something wrong. I'm trying to clone. There we go. So we got our value area low at 44.43. And our point of control at 51.03. Okay, so we had our change of character occurrence at the value area high right here. So that was a warning sign to prepare for a short. Okay, your stop loss guard here. If you're still in the short, the POC is kind of like guarding you. And it could rotate all the way down to 44.43. Like typically when we have our moves from one side of the value area, we have that change of character warning, we rotate to the next side of the value area. Statistically, like based on all the back testing that we've done. All right, so I'll be marking this key level here. You see the pace of the sellers have shifted though. We're consolidating a little bit. So let's zoom in. We're on the 4-hour time frame, so let's zoom in on the hourly. Yeah, structurally it's looking bearish too. The only thing that seems bullish to me is the fact that we're building like a rounded bottom posture right now. And our equilibrium point is the POC at this. So our key area of interest that we want to have for a bullish break for this round bottom is the POC. So 51.113. If that acts as support, we can get our rotation back up. The main concern is the fish hook behavior. If anyone's ever seen a fish hook pattern, it looks like this, right? And we typically come up to about 40% of your 30 to 40% of the pullback. So like if this was your key area here, we tend to get about 30 to 40%. In this case, we got about 60%. Now we're building more of a larger structure, larger posture. So I'll be watching out for 52.75 as resistance. That could drive the price back right back down. So local resistance here to align with previous support. But yeah, I'm more bearish than bullish on this thing. kind of gives me Polygon vibes. Just constantly trying to rebrand their way to a new all-time high. You know, if we get that lower low, then yeah, I'll be waiting around 44, 43. And down here be a really, really good opportunity to prepare for longs again. We've been ping-ponging back and forth inside this range for 77 days now. And the rotation between each side from value area low to value area high is 26%. So like, I would be preparing for longs down here if we come back down. Trading near the POC is kind of high risk. Just be careful. What else we have in the chat? We got. So what does that mean? Because at some point, if we win, we pump, everyone will be in the profits until the top is in. Yeah, so actually, normally when we're at all-time highs for Bitcoin and we go range bound, alts go pretty wild. Like others down, it starts to reflect the flow of funds going into alts because people are uncertain about the kind of gains they're going to get from Bitcoin when they're at the all-time high. So once we start seeing consolidation, either up here at the all-time high or at new all-time highs, prepare for alts to start doing a bit of a rally. Not a season, but a really good rally. I don't know if we'll ever get a season at this point. Do you ever consider token unlock trading? Token unlock is like confluence. It's a confluence-based rule. Just like news, you don't want to really just trade off news. You want to use it as confluence and you wait for structure to define your trades. But yeah, token unlocks are very, very good for preparing for shorts. So if you see, for example, like a double top posture and we confirm like a change of character occurrence, at the same time a token unlock is happening, I'll be preparing for shorts. Same thing with burn events. If you know of a burn event like Cake, for example, they have their burns every Friday. So if you see a bullish posture, you use the burn event as confluence because you are having a tokenomic backing behind your trade rules. You'll need less trade participants to help drive the price towards your targets. How do you call the end of a rally? That's a good question. So there's token specific rules. So each individual asset will have like a momentum guide like this. And think of this more of in a macro sense. So if we're seeing, for example, price action coming up following this momentum, and then we get an opposing change of character, that tells us that that's the end of this uptrend, most likely, and that we're going to be targeting liquidity to the downside. When you're looking at others' dominance, it's kind of the same thing. So if we pull that up here, zoom in. So we were preparing for a rally for alts from this SFP right here. We got the SFP and we got an incredibly good rally to the core area of interest right here where we expected resistance. I didn't expect for it to fall this harsh, but I did expect for it to at least get a correction here. I was hoping that we'd at least hold this demand zone here as support, but instead we got acceptance right back in it and lost the 50 EMA again. So you would enter longs on key areas of interest like that, and then you'd listen to the structural warning signs on when it's going to end. So here we have a head and shoulders posture after hitting a key area of interest. So the others dominance is telling us that alts are likely going to suffer very soon if this were to break. And we got the break and a further confirmation of break structure to bring it down even further. But now the opposite we can prepare for, right? We have a change of character occurrence already happening here on the 4-hour, right? So that's a warning sign that we could be seeing alts start to come up soon. But we have yet to break. Well, this momentum's not exactly perfect, but we've yet to break it. So this can go from here to technically here. So I would be looking for anything that's part of the others dominance chart or a posture similar to this, warning you that we might be going on another rally again. A season, however, is a little bit more trickier, because a season usually doesn't just occur based on the posture of the others dominance chart. It also depends on on-chain data reflecting people's profitability and flow of funds from Bitcoin into usually network tokens first, and then the lower market cap assets that are built on those networks. So I use on-chain analytics and the relative unrealized profit and loss chart to help define when we're likely going to have a season. So when we're in the overheated zone up here at the 2.35 level, Bitcoin tends to consolidate as soon as we get up to this zone. And this shows us that a massive majority of people are in a profit based on where they bought for Bitcoin. And right now, if I were to make this smaller, this shows us like that the gains that people are having aren't that aggressive in terms of gains. So people who are buying right now that are resetting the supply in a profit, yes, a large amount of supply is in a profit right now, but it's not, a large majority of them aren't in a crazy amount of profit, right? Even though we're near all-time highs, it's telling us that most of the people that got in relatively recently, inside of this range that we've been in from February, I guess it'll be November to February. Let's go back to Bitcoin, over to the daily, right? When we went range bound here, we had a massive reset. A bunch of investors left, and those investors were mostly retail, like little fish, like us. Same here, mostly retail left. Big investors came in, and there's proof of that right here. So if you go into address bands balances under address specific on chain exposed, this will show you the different types of investors. So here's some sharks. The people are holding between 100 and 1,000 Bitcoin. They are in a massive uptrend ever since we had the ETF release, right? So we had big investors buying up the supply, and these are people holding between 100 and 1,000 Bitcoin. But if you look at the crabs, right, the people are holding between 1 and 10 Bitcoin. We've been in a downtrend with them ever since the ETFs came out, right? So this is telling us that people are holding between 1 and 10 Bitcoin are selling it to people who are holding between 100 and 1,000 Bitcoin. Same with like the shrimps, downtrend ever since. The plankton, we've been in like consolidating downtrend ever since. The fish, massive downtrend, people holding between 10 and 100 Bitcoin, right? So this is telling us that everyone's selling their Bitcoin to institutions right now, and eventually institutions are going to have a massive control over like Bitcoin's price action. So when we look at this relative unrealized profit and loss chart, this is showing us like the new investors that are coming in, they're not that much of a dramatic amount of profit right now. When we get in the overheated zone, that's when we have to worry, and that's normally when we have our, well, historically this is called the top perfectly ever since this chart's been created. So I would listen to this as a huge warning sign to prepare for a bear market, and your first warning sign, which is usually you only have about 2 weeks to a month to participate in like a season for altcoins, and this is where we normally end up having those seasons occur, because all those flow of funds are coming from Bitcoin into network tokens, pumping them for the last little hurrah, and then we go into a really aggressive bear market usually. I do think that based on how we've been consolidating, though, that our bear market this time around isn't going to be as like depressing. We'll probably be, every time we get to these key areas that we consolidated. Let's go back to daily. Sec here. Yeah, these key zones that we consolidated, like here and here, they're going to act as huge core areas of interest in a bear market, creating really strong support. And if you look at history for Bitcoin, we don't normally, when we go into like a bull market, we usually go like straight up. We don't normally consolidate between each leg up. The longest we usually consolidate is like a month in a bull market. But yeah, the more you guys learn on-chain data, the more comfortable you will be with knowing when the actual all-time high is going to be or when the actual all-time low is. So it helps you become a better investor than a trader. If you end up like learning how to do the trading stuff, it becomes extremely helpful, because like when we get to those all-time high warnings, you're looking for a daily change of character, like a bearish change of character. And once you have that daily change of character, that's the top. Like every single time we had a daily change of character after we got up here, it's called the top perfectly. Okay. Wagner saying Bitcoin cycle ranges pretty much destroyed the alts, hoping that the cycle top will define the pump alts. Yeah, like you're noticing that only certain key altcoins are thriving right now. Whenever Bitcoin consolidates and Ethereum kind of goes on its little sprints, so you got to pick the ones that are having that relative strength and ignoring the ones that are being weak while Bitcoin's pumping. It's showing you where all the key areas of interest, like what are people paying attention to, what are people investing in, or what's the narrative. Okay. David's been looking at for it to sell down. Oh, I gotcha. All right, guys, I gotta head out soon. I got a coaching call with the community. We're looking for, it's like the trade hunting call. We'll likely just be continuing what we're waiting for here. There's not any real setups just yet. So whenever we do these lives, I'm always hoping that we can have a trade during them. But yeah, we had one. It's like every other call that we do, we end up getting a actual setup. It's being really slow right now. Good morning, Andrew. What's up, man? But yeah, guys, I gotta head out. I'll see you guys in the trade hunting call this morning, and we'll hopefully find something on the charts to dive in on. If not, I'll just answer any questions you guys have. But yeah, just a quick review. Cardano is looking bearish. We got this bearish SFP. We're losing momentum. If we get this break, we'll have a continuation likely down to the value area high at 72.29. We looked at Sonic, and it's looking like it's continuing down towards its value area low at 44.43. And right now it's building a fishhook structure that could define a pump to 52.58, but they usually come off short-term bearish, but more longer-term bullish. Short-term bullish, more long-term bearish. Bitcoin structurally is looking pretty darn bearish too. We are heading down to likely 44.5K with this previous value area high, and it's not the technical target of this wedge. The technical target is technically down here at this value area low, but you have to take this barrier as a concern. If we come down here, we get a bounce, and then we get opposing change of character, we're still honoring this value area high as support like we did right here when we got this higher high. So if we maintain this, we can end up getting our all-time high hit even if we lose this momentum. So just watch out for this level. If we get acceptance into this level with the break of structure continuation, then I would extend your target to 102.5. There's an hourly order block there. There's a value area low there. So there's lots of reasoning for preparing for a reversal here. But we've stacked liquidity here, here, and here. We're getting more and more liquidity to the downside, and we keep taking more and more from the outside. Right? So our liquidity bias is bearish. So if you're a market maker, you're going to be looking down for the money in order for you to be able to get out of your shorts with the least amount of slippage. Or to get in with their longs as well. I was hopeful for, we might not get it, but I'm hopeful for price action to come up, give us a change of character occurrence up here or an SFP, and then we could front run the break of this momentum here. It gives a really good R&R for that falling wedge structure. We know we have buyers waiting right here at 106,300. Based on the order books, we saw a big buy wall there, but it's being eaten right now as we speak. We got about 600 Bitcoin waiting to be bought at that level. So that could induce a pump to reverse and get up here. But if it's not strong enough against the sellers, this break of structure could be the warning for a continuation down. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me in the Discord. Do all members have access to a trade hunting call? It's any, if you're part of the Nova community, it's any gold members. If you're part of the InvestiShare community, it's any of the elite members have access to the call. Yeah, hope that helps, guys. Yeah, you have yourself an amazing day, and reach out.